think I got it right this time. It's so complicated. Okay, I think it's working. Oh, good. Having my troubles today, kids. Hi, boys and girls. It's me, Butch. My name is Terry David Silvercloud. I'm not native, just sounds that way. I'm 78 years old. I'm queer. Today is the 22nd of March, 2023. It's just about 3 p.m. in Vancouver. And, excuse me, I'm inspired to make this video by the news that's been on the news around here of the Russian hockey player Provorov not being supportive of LGBTQ initiatives. And I find that upsetting. You know, I find homophobic behavior upsetting. I've lived with it a lot of my life. I'm 78. And I was involved in the gay liberation movement in Vancouver in 1971. I did pro bono photography for the Body Politic gay magazine in Toronto. And because I wasn't legally allowed to have sex with men until I was nearly 25 when Canadian laws are changed, I've vowed I'll speak out whenever I can, and this is sort of an excuse to see if my equipment is going to work and speak out, see if the gear is going to work. I've been having my troubles. So the message, it may well be that this Russian player is homophobic. You know, it's not uncommon in Russian culture or in hockey, but I think it's important to remember he's Russian and his family and friends live back in Russia, and the leader of that communist dictatorship is Vladimir Putin, and he is particularly homophobic and persecutes gay people. I'm not certain why. It must cost him money, and why he doesn't discover that leave them alone. It's cheaper that way, and they're very useful. So to my brothers and sisters out there in Russia and areas controlled by Putin, you have the sympathies of all the gay LGBTQ community here in Canada. We're behind you, and that's what this is really all about. Not us getting all iffy about some Russian player. And we're working on the NHL. The NHL is being worked on here in North America, and it may take another generation or two to change the ideas of what's a man and all that. But this whole thing is politically inspired by Vladimir Putin, and one has to ask oneself, why? Why are you doing it? Well, I asked myself if he might be a closeted homosexual, and I guess that's possible. Some closeted gay people become very demonstratively homophobic to try and draw attention away from their own sexuality. He has 2 daughters. He doesn't seem to play around much, so there is a faint possibility that his homophobia, Putin's homophobia, may come from his own closetedness. I believe in bisexuality. I wasn't really sure when I was a younger gay man, but I had a long-term friend with benefits who I outlasted several girlfriends, and he was a bit iffy when he first met me. He said, "I don't talk to fags." I said, "That's okay, I'll do the talking." But we had end up with a long-term relationship, and eventually it was oral for years, me doing him. But we had a mutually anal relationship in our last stage together before he went off to New York, and I moved to Vancouver back 24 years ago. So he was clearly bisexual, and I've had oral relations with a couple dozen straight men, just guys that I asked if I could do them, and they said sure. So they weren't bisexual at all. It's just nobody was ever going to know, that sort of thing. So Putin, he may be closeted homosexual. I expect there's political reasons, though, behind everything. And if he has a small dick, whether he was heterosexual or homosexual, I guess he would be more homophobic if he was heterosexual, because one of the things heterosexual men don't like to have to deal with is competing with another man's penis size, that sort of thing. A lot of men are very insecure about the size of their penis. Me, I'm 6.5 to 7 inches, which is above average, I'm told. Over 5.5 inches, more than half the men are over 5.5 inches. So if you're over 5.5 inches, you're normal or bigger than average. So Putin, he likes, I should be over here, not know what I'm doing. I did this once before and everything didn't work right, so this is my second try and I can't remember what the hell I was talking about. But my point I'm trying to get across is that I'm trying not to take the Russian players' comments and actions too strongly against me as a queer man in Canada. It's the message it sends back to the kids in Russia and the LGBT community in Russia. You know, he's doing the right thing in his mind, maybe if he's sympathetic in his own mind by trying to protect his family by towing Putin's line. But the damage is really extending into Russia more than it is into Canada. We're working on it. We're working on straightening out hockey, and gay men are starting to come out. There's two types of gay people that Putin should be worried about, and Anita Bryant didn't consider when she thought gay people are just to push over. The first type of gay person that Putin should be rightly terrified of are drag queens. You don't mess with a drag queen. Claws come out. And they've trained themselves to be the bitch. Being a drag queen is about being the ultimate bitch, the ultimate dom, the lady who is the queen, the the queen, and they all want to be numero uno, so they're very competitive. The other type of gay person that Putin forgets about, because they're often less obvious in society, I think I fall into that category, is the butch male. You have no idea he's gay until he asks to do you, and would you mind if I play with your number? And you had no idea he was gay. They're just like regular guys, act like regular guys, and can be raised to fighting spirit, gun in hand, just like regular guys. Sometimes more so because they're more motivated. Motivation is a big factor with soldiers. But anyhow, straight guys, well, with Putin, let's talk about Putin. So Putin may have a small weenie, and that may aggravate his reactions. I should have been showing you, if you've been looking at this, I get carried away, yakking away. He's like an old man. Showing you his 70-year-old body, and I'm 78 now, so he's 70. When Julius Caesar met Cleopatra, he was 70, I believe, and she was 21. So whether or not there was a sexual attraction going on or not, Cleopatra was one super smart woman, and so was Julius Caesar, and it wasn't unusual he was known to be gay anyway. You know, Caesar was every lady's man and every man's lady. So Caesar liked taking it up the back end, and he may have been bisexual, but he was politically savvy, and most leaders, in the past would be that way. So, he was 70, she was 21, I said. So she'd be pretty hot as these things go. So it wouldn't be too hard for him to get it up. Alexander the Great had a boyfriend, one of his generals, and possibly several others, and that was common in Greek times in those days, and it would be politically correct to have a wife or more than one wife, which he did for political reasons. He tended to marry a woman in every country he conquered just to keep everybody happy. He really liked the Jewish people. That's why he established Alexandria. He thought they were pretty cool. And he didn't understand their circumcised weenies at first, but Jewish boys are all circumcised, as are Muslim men. That was interesting. And in Greek culture, that's why they had nude statues. The Greeks had foreskins. And from what I understand is a Greek man was not considered to be naked unless his foreskin was pulled back. Then he was naked, and he probably had an erection at the same time. So this would all be new to Alexander the Great. David of the Bible, King David, he was a redhead. It says so. He had fair complexion. He was ruddy. He had red hair. He had an affair, which is detailed to some extent in the Bible, with Jonathan, the son of Saul. Much to Saul was pretty homophobic, and he wasn't too thrilled about that. But the love affair between Jonathan and David is documented. Homosexuality in the past was more accepted until the Roman Catholic Church came along in 390 AD and put together a Bible and a church and the Council of Nicaea and all that. And, a lot of their writings came from the New Testament, which were written by the Apostle Paul, who was clearly homophobic for one reason or another. The books where there's anti-gay kind of stuff, he wrote them, in Romans and that sort of thing. Jesus never mentioned anything like that. There's one mention, I think it's in the book of Mark, when Jesus was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, and when the soldiers came to arrest him to take him off and nail him up to the cross. In one of the books, which I believe is the book of Mark, there was seen fleeing from the garden the person who was with Jesus, who was a naked young boy, or a young man, a youth. So was Jesus gay? Maybe. I'm an atheist. I think religions are evil. So let's get back to Putin. I said that I think it's politically motivated, and the reason for that is if you pay attention to Putin, he's really chummy with the Roman Catholic Church. He does a lot to make sure, the Roman Catholic population sees him in good stead. He sees them as good followers as long as he lets them do their thing. And his interpretation of the religion there comes from old school, gay sex is out. But it's all political, and again, I keep saying again, I don't mean to say that. I'm trying to think of two things at once here. Which camera are we on here? Let's go to this camera for a minute. Putin, he's been around a while. He's 70 years old now, just like Caesar was when he met Cleopatra. He must be wondering about his successor and all that. He has 2 daughters, and it's not going to be one of them, and I don't know if he's worked anything out or he thinks he's going to live forever. He probably thinks he'll live forever. But what was I talking about? Jeez, I lost track of it. That was dumb, David. Yeah, I lost track of what on earth I was talking about. So Putin, he probably thinks he's going to live forever, and I don't know how I was going to wind this up because, I forgot. I lose track of myself there. I think I've told you all I want to tell you is that, if I didn't get it, I sort of was steering you this way, and I don't think it's the second or third time I've tried this because I had so many computer problems and I can't remember what have I talked about already. And I'm such a motor mouth and old man like Grandpa Simpson. It just goes on and on and on and on. So again, I pushed a button, forgot what I was talking about. You're an idiot, David. You're such an idiot. Geez, that was so stupid. All of this is about why he's doing it, and he's taken lessons from Hitler. Hitler had a coach to help him learn to speak better. He was obviously really good at it anyway. I don't remember the guy's name, but this particular coach taught him the idea that you don't just stand there talking, making fake gestures with your hands so people think you know what you're doing. You punctuate things you're saying, like yes and no, and put emphasis. You emphasize certain words or certain syllables at the right time to carry your weight. So Hitler had some coaching in that regard. And I think all of this homophobia he may have is really just directed at him trying to have complete control over the people he sees as being weak, which is everybody, but he's not going to tell them that. But in particular, the people he can pick on, who he thinks may not be in favor. So I don't know how the Jewish people are doing in Russia. There's probably quite a few of them, and they had money, and Hitler knew that too, so I wouldn't be comfortable being Jewish in Russia at this particular time. And Muslim, I don't think I'd be comfortable being Muslim. But Roman Catholic, you're cool. Well, I think before I forgot what I was talking about was that when the Roman Catholics came into power, they're the ones that started the whole homophobia thing. That's one of the things I forgot that I was going to talk about. So Putin's just trying to rouse people by doing what he thinks is right, and if he's homophobic, he's narcissistic, which we all know he is anyway. And narcissists, they have certain habits. If you ask psychologists, they'll tell you that they like to blame others and steer things away from themselves. When they want attention, they won't let you say a word. They'll just keep changing the subject and make you talk about what they want to talk about. And if they don't want to talk about what you're talking about, they'll just butt in. The best way to treat those people is just walk away. Stop listening, just walk away. Ignore them, they hate that. I'm pretty narcissistic in a way, egotistic or something. Look at me, I'm sitting here with my pearls. He's something. I don't know what he is, but it's something. So I'm going to shut up because I know I've gone on and on and on. I didn't mean to go on and on and on. But the whole point I'm going to make about this is that Putin is courting the Roman Catholics because he thinks that will be a good move for him. And he's pushing the macho Russian sort of image. And whether it's because he has a small weenie or not, I don't know. I found the best pictures I could, and I'm showing you him versus me. I think he's shorter than me. I'm 6'2". I didn't check out how tall he is, but I don't see that much of a basket going there. But he just may be a homophobe. A homophobe is a person that is probably sexist, and they're comfortable with the way things were. Women are in their place, and they like seeing scantily clad women, postage size stamp bra would be fine. Nothing would be even better. And they don't want to look at another guy's junk because they're not interested. They're heterosexual, and they don't seem to have ever developed the empathy from anywhere to realize that there really are guys that like guys, and then there's guys that they really are attracted both ways, and that must be extraordinarily confusing. Usually they're attracted more to one than the other. Usually it's one or the other. They have a regular wife or girlfriend and a boyfriend they see once in a while, or they have a regular boyfriend and they have a girl they see once in a while, or that sort of arrangement. And I've lost track of what the hell I'm talking about again. But Putin is playing on the whole macho image. I was talking about what macho is. Yeah, so a guy, and also it's easy to put down a lot of things like saying, oh, that's so gay. Wrestling is so gay because you see the guys walking around with a boner underneath their singlet. Well, some guys do, and the rules are in most competitive wrestling is so that everybody's treated exactly equally. You wear a singlet, and I think the current rules are it must be below, it must be, you can actually, now I think in professional wrestling where you see guys doing all the acting, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about competitive wrestling, which is extraordinarily technical in its nature in what you can and can't do and how they score things. It's not like you see where people are grunting and doing all the acrobatics that you got to be good and know what you're doing to do that, but I'm talking about competitive Olympic type wrestling. And they used to wrestle naked, so now they're next to naked, and sometimes they get boners, and so to a gay man or to a woman, the women love it. I wear bikinis to the beach, and the women just love it. They just love seeing guys in a bikini. Some of the older women, no, I shouldn't say that. There's an older lady in a bikini, in a wheelchair. I sometimes watch the sunsets on the bench at English Bay, and I'll just be wearing my bikini, which is next to nothing. And she always gives me the thumbs up. She told me her first night of marriage, she was like 90. She said, my very first night of marriage, she was all excited. They were finally going to do it. She'd never seen her husband naked before, ever. And they were finally going to do it. And she got undressed and was all expecting. He got undressed and sat by the side of the bed and masturbated, and then got in the covers and went to sleep. And that was basically the rest of their marriage. And so that wasn't a particularly thrilling marriage for her. I'm not going to go on more about that, but she definitely thought it was awesome that I wear bikinis at the beach. So you can see me, and he's courting the, I'm going to shut up. He's courting the religions that he's trying to put down the gay folks, and as far as the hockey players in Canada go, we're starting to make progress here in Canada, and where we should really be trying to give attention and help towards are the young men in a lot of other countries, including India, where homosexuality is not looked upon in a friendly way, in Muslim countries, Mormon boys, it's okay to pump the pump. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. It's good for you. It's okay. No matter what they tell you, it's good for you. I know you're doing it, so don't feel guilty about it. There's nothing wrong with it. Same with you Jehovah's Witness kids who probably think the same thing. Pump the pump. All the boys do it. I have a sex toy, and if I'm not too tired, I need the help of a sex toy, a Tenga flip hole, Tenga flip hole. But I have sex with that pretty much every day because I'm old, I live alone, don't have a boyfriend, don't have a lot of money, don't have much to look forward to, but fortunately I'm in good medical care, I'm in hormone replacement therapy, I'm in pain management therapy for my arthritis, and I do have a sex life, and I like it every single day. It's good for me, thank you very much. So with that, I'm going to shut up. I'm on the wrong screen. Sometimes I think you're seeing something you're not seeing. It's my fault. I'm a ditz. I'm sorry. So I'm going to, this went on way too long. Putin is just following Hitler's methodology, and Napoleons, picking on a minority and cultivating what he thinks will be a supportive majority. Trump sort of has been trying to do that too. Dump on, and the particular group you're appealing to will be very conservative and probably share a lot of your or their homophobic values. So I'm going to jump over to this camera here to see if it's still working. I have to go swipe. Oh yeah, you're over here. You're over here. The hockey player, that's all too bad. Homophobic guys are just insecure about their own sexuality. Seriously, they're just totally insecure. And some of them will say they're worried about another guy coming on to them. Well, is it happening? No, it's not. And when it does, it's usually in a quite friendly way. I've given oral to more than a dozen straight guys when I was younger, maybe a couple dozen over several years when I was a hippie, and I was just in situations where we sort of had enough time to get to know each other and nobody was ever going to know that it was going to happen, and I asked them if they wanted to get done, and most of them said yes, sure, thank you very much, and thanked me afterwards. That was awesome. You're welcome. Okay, Butchie Poo is going to shut up because I go on and on and on like a dripping tap. If you're still here, I'm sorry I'm such a ditz. So, bye-bye.